Hutch versus Straight Right. Okay, we have to finish this. Fuck.
has
We
been an
spent like 3 days
effective
on this at
way
this
to
point. Alright. Hutch versus Straight Right. Let's just quickly finish this one, okay?
radicalize people and to bring attention and to persuade people in favor of social causes like being being in support of anti-racist causes or being in support of trans rights, to people that were
Nope.
not only skeptical but like actively hostile to these ideas, and yet she's been able to do it. So they felt like very disappointed to see her not speak up on a very, very critical and important issue that she even acknowledges is a genocide. And they're like, well, if you acknowledge it's a genocide, then why this response?
I don't have Dune.
I think she probably saw what happened to every other content creator or prominent individual who didn't take a one-state solution and decided, nope, that. And I don't blame her. I think she probably saw like what they did to Ethan, and she probably decided like, I don't want to deal with that stress. Would you want to deal with that? I don't want to deal with that.
Coming from then that, because I think it's cowardly and it's not indicative of where her videos have been, like who she's tried to reach. She has always been the person that she wanted to reach. I thought the people that were unreachable are fence sitters, like always willing to actually go there and engage directly with those people and their arguments. She's made arguments trying to debunk race realists. She's made arguments to gender critical people, aka trans, like TERFs and transphobic people. She's made arguments to people that were like skeptical of BLM, like reaching out to people like how to like de-radicalize like Nazis and stuff like that. Those are people that are like that's like far more harder to reach than people that are pro-Palestine, in my opinion. And if she could do that, then why can't she do it with pro-Palestine people?
It's not. So again, it's not pro-Palestine. It's leftist pro-Palestine people that were doing the specific things that she's talking about. But like, I'm not going to judge anyone for not wanting to deal with this particular crowd. This is purely anecdotal. I can't speak for anyone else's experiences, and I'm not even necessarily saying that you should extrapolate from this. But unhinged. I've been doing like internet, social media stuff for 16 years. I've swam in toxic gaming spaces. Like there's certain fandoms that are super toxic, like Call of Duty. I covered Trump extensively during his first term, so I interacted with a lot of MAGA people. And I can tell you, I have never dealt with anything as vitriolic as what I've dealt with in the last year and a half interacting with these people and their communities. It is.
Oh, wait, didn't Hutch want to seek out a debate with Creeman? Didn't that happen recently? I'm pretty sure, no? Yeah. Yeah. Hutch tweeted out that he wants to talk with Creeman. Do fucking base. Let's go.
So much worse. Being angry is not a virtue, though. Like being angry doesn't mean that you get to.
It's a virtue. I'm just saying that you know why they are. Why are they angry, Hutch?
I think they're angry because they see people suffering and they feel powerless to stop it.
And not just that, but it's a genocide. So I'm angry too. And I'm angry that like the United States is complicit in that, and my tax dollars go to it, and it like keeps me up at night.
Being angry doesn't justify calling CPS.
Oh wow! Right. Okay. Your tax dollars going towards the genocide keeps you up at night. That's just wonderful, dude. I'm so glad this like privileged white woman is here to tell us exactly what she's like. What she's like, dude, you've got to be kidding me. This soy shit is actually absurd, dude. Fuck Straight Array. Fuck the great betrayer, dude. Straight Array is the great betrayer, okay?
Yes, on someone and mailing a human skull. I insane. But that's what I'm talking about.
But I'm talking, okay.
You're telling me Straight Array actually has a conscience? In anything? This is the most performance shit. I don't even know if she had a conscience when she betrayed Pixie, or she had a conscience when she betrayed Destiny, or she had a conscience when she betrayed like Loner Box, right? She doesn't have a conscience on any of these. So now you're gonna have a conscience on like fucking Israel versus Palestine? Dude, give me a fucking break, dude. You would rather see your former friend Pixie commit suicide because you hate Destiny and because you align yourself with Present Sunday, dude. Give me a break.
Okay, but her post is literally talking about how bitter she feels, how black-pilled she feels effectively, right? And expanding on that, and then just kind of leaving it there. And then everybody's surprised, like the people that support her, like her statement, are like, why do people like have such a negative view of this? And it's like, because she's talking about, she has a fatalistic view of this issue. She thinks it like cannot be changed. She basically sees it as this like unchanging law of nature.
No, she said it can't be changed. She said it can't be changed on an immediate timeline. It has to be. It's going to be if it's going to succeed, it's going to take years, is what she's saying, and she's correct.
So right then, like I draw the opposite conclusion. If something takes years, and it's been years since this happened, October 7th has almost been 2 years since it happened, then it's like that saying: the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago. The next best time is today. That's how I see it. That if it takes years, then we better get started right now. You better start helping, like trying to push people and start persuading people right now because it's urgent.
Well,
yeah, but this is brain dead shit, right? Like, you're basically saying we need to push Israel versus Palestine during a period in which it is a critical moment for the election in order to elect Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. Okay, dude. First of all right, clearly you don't know how time frame works, okay? Because guess what? All right, during this critical time frame, anybody who is even familiar with politics knows that it is a critical time to win over the fucking Republican Party, okay? The last thing you want to do is disenfranchise and, like, demotivate people from voting, okay? Like, this is ultimately what Straight Red is arguing for. Like, she's arguing for demotivating people from voting for Kamala Harris because, oh, wow, you don't understand, it's Genocide Joe.
Did we get closer or further away from this? Well, I mean, I don't. We'd have to unpack the goal.
Are angry about the genocide, and she is bitter about their response to the genocide. I see anger from all parties here.
I think she's bitter at people that swam in that rage with no effective political outlet, and then became so jaded that they, in some small part, helped Donald Trump win. I think that's what she's upset about. And I think like Donald Trump winning had a direct impact on her life and everybody else's life who now has to have every other trans person in this country who now has to, they're forced to endure the humiliation of having a passport with a gender identity that is not congruent with their identity. Like, and that's a kind of like a superficial thing, but it's humiliating. And now we're seeing,
it's not superficial to me. It's people's lives. Like I take all of that very, very seriously.
Like, you can tell she's privileged. She doesn't give a fuck about any of these people, 100%, okay? You can tell she doesn't give a flying fuck. She doesn't give a flying fuck. She doesn't give a fuck about any of these people who suffer under Trump, okay? Guess what? Because she's a privileged white woman who will never, ever face the consequences of Trump being elected because, I don't know, maybe she doesn't need to have an abortion for whatever reason, okay? Or whatever the fuck, right? Oh, we should have pushed for genocide, blah, blah, blah. If you actually cared about it, then you would have first pushed for Kamala Harris to be elected first. Because guess what? Between the two choices, guess who is worse in terms of the genocide? It's Trump, okay? Trump is worse in terms of genocide. It is such a joke because pro-Palestinian protesters will never be found at any kind of Trump convention or any kind of Trump rally ever, okay? They only appear at Democrat rallies. They only appear at Democrat events. They never, ever, 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 ever appear at any kind of conservative event ever. 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 All right? The idea that you would criticize Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the months leading up to the election is ludicrous, okay? In terms of who is better for Gaza is insane.
It's not just a passport. Like you're saying they intentionally went out of their way to be cruel to a group of people in this country that's already a vulnerable minority to begin with. I understand that. Like,
I mean, I'm saying I think she has a right to be upset, and I think she has a right to criticize people that she thinks contributed to that setting. That
the same way you understand that people have a right to be upset about the genocide, but then that doesn't mean that doesn't give you license or the excuse to just do and say whatever the you want and be completely irresponsible with your rhetoric or not be productive. You should try to channel that anger into something productive.
Yeah.
I think the same way that she has bitterness and angriness towards both the genocide and the reaction.
Dude, okay, Hutch needs to go harder. Hutch is too soft, okay? I guess he wants to be amicable and he wants to be friendly, and that's why people like him. I get it, okay? But, like, dude, these people are so bad faith. Dude, Straighter Rate is so bad faith. She's so bad faith, dude. She knows for a fact that Trump is worse. She knows for a fact Trump is worse for Gaza, right? She knows this for a fact. Finally caught up to watching the stream at 2.5 speed. Quite funny to hear Chipmunk Foodshops space.
To it online, then she should try to take her own advice and channel it into something productive.
Well, I think for creators...
More productive than this, because again, I just think, I agree with you that it's always going to be hard to assess how productive a message was, because like, I am going off of like, I'm just checking the dipstick and seeing how people reacted to it, and clearly a lot of people did not like it. And so I'm taking that to mean like, again, it didn't land with the people that it needed to. So I think it failed in its messaging.
I don't think she was.
Productive.
I don't think she was trying to make this land for like the needle drop and Hassan and Mike. Like I think she knew that they were going to react the way that they did. It wasn't for them. It was for the maybe she was trying to dissuade against this kind of thing in the
Hutch?
in the future.
Hutch is the
And
Bellatrix
the other
streamer?
thing is like I don't think we should consider people like ContraPoints or creators or very better known celebrities. These are not superheroes. These are human beings and.
Never trust a present Sunday order. Can confirm. Okay, I've had nothing but bad experiences with present Sunday orders. Okay,
I have at various times felt totally bleak and black-pilled about various topics, and during those times, I choose not to post about those kinds of things because it just makes me sad. And I don't think we should expect that someone like her is just going to always, use her platform in the way that you want her to, and try to inspire hope because.
But
Sometimes.
the way that I want her to is not even like a video. It's like I want it to be consistent with her videos in the past. Because if we're doing this, like if the scoreboard is like, what tangible wins can you show? Her platform has been dedicated to de-radicalizing like the alt-right, to de-radicalizing right-wing reactionary young men. Well, look at who's in charge, ContraPoints. Like, look at like Trump is in charge and the Republicans got the Senate and they got the Congress. So imagine if I looked at her and I said,
whose
your
fault
work
do you
doesn't
think
mean
that is?
anything because you said you were trying to end like oppose fascism and racism and online radicalization. And look, like Trump's in power, it didn't work. And then they also say that
Hutch
his
is
win
too
is in
nice,
part
dude.
because of alternative
Hutch is
media.
just way too nice.
So you failed to I would
Yeah.
never like make that assessment of her content or say it was useless because of that.
Well, her.
What's the present Sunday appeal? Well, the appeal is that he does theory, okay? Is that, like, supposedly, but it's very clear he cares a lot more about drama than theory, okay? Like, it's very clear, so, okay? If you don't know, present Sunday basically, like, earns, like, people like listening to him because he has a voice for reading about theory, okay? He has an ASMR voice that people like, okay, when it comes to reading theory, okay? He basically splintered off from Vosh's audience, and then he burned the bridge with Vosh afterwards, okay? After the whole lolly drama happened, okay? And basically people were looking for an alternative to all that jazz, okay? That's probably why they were listening to him. But also, like, Present Sunday has also made like a streaming career essentially being the person who hates Destiny as well. All right, for the record, I think that much is true as well. So, yeah.
Hers is a project that never stops.
To be fair, yeah, he is.
There's
a
not a
fucking walking,
there's
talking
no
fedora, yeah.
end. There's no final. We've defeated.
No, yeah, I bet you never like it. No, wrong. Like it and I have even interacted before. Okay, we talked to each other multiple times on his stream, okay? So technically not even true, all right? I'm just incredibly disappointed in him, if I have to be honest. I mean, I say that he sucks now, but like, my most honest feelings is that he's just, like, I just consider him to be, he's supposed to be smarter than this, you know?
Republicans and conservatism and Trump and it never when Trump's gone, someone else is going to come, and you keep doing it over and over and over again. It's a constant energy. It's constant sustained effort. There is no
like I don't want to sound like the condescending, like, oh, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. But I can't deny that. Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed.
a logical endpoint, and so I think that is a bit different than like we demand that the state of Israel be dissolved in the next like 6 months or whatever.
I never saw.
I know you didn't say that. I know you
because I didn't see it, so I'm just taking you at your word.
I did.
Or whatever, because what I saw was people like
Wait, can you do a poll?
To be fair, Nicholas DeOrio is not unhinged, okay, and he is pretty large, and he is a Destiny hater, so I don't know about that one, okay.
Can you do a poll of your audience?
How do I do that?
Are you on Twitch?
Yeah, how do I do it?
If you go to the dashboard, I'm just curious. I'm not like assuming anything. If you go to the dashboard, there should be a little widget under the bottom, like under the video player. Like, and if you don't see an option for a poll, hit the plus sign.
Quick options.
Yeah, quick actions.
He's
Yeah,
indeed
quick-
very large.
Yeah.
Poll.
Shut up.
All right, what am I doing?
one state or two state.
Finish my poll. One state. I can tell you right now. I'm sure it's gonna be one state. But
Okay.
what is this supposed to mean or measure?
Well, then we don't need to. Then all right, fine. Yeah, we don't need to do it. That's what I'm talking about. Like this is what she's talking about. Like
No,
this is
I
like
don't have
the
agility for
default.
that.
Because
I'm
I know
sorry.
you're more of a leftist. You called yourself a communist, and so I assume your audience is more leftist, right? And so it's going to be like probably 99% one state. That's what she's talking about. That's exactly what she's talking about right now.
But even pre-October 7th, the two-state solution was like that issue had fallen off the map. Even Obama couldn't do it. And Obama, like the terms of the for the two-state solution or whatever, were highly favorable to Israel, and it still fell through.
I understand the complexities of exploring a two-state
right now,
solution
Trump
with the West Bank
wants one thing.
settle. No, I understand. I understand all the arguments about how a two-state solution is going to be incredibly difficult, especially with the expansion of the settlements in the West Bank. I do understand all that. However, a one-state solution is like, to her point, she laid it out. It's like you're either going to use military force against a country that has nuclear weapons to force this issue, or you're going to internally destabilize the country, and neither Israelis nor Palestinians want to share a single state. It's the least popular proposal amongst that crowd. And as far as I'm concerned, the conversation should fucking stop there. I don't understand why Western leftists are insisting, as the Vanguard did, that you cannot be a Palestinian advocate if you don't advocate for a one-state solution, when only 18% of Palestinians in Gaza want that outcome. It's fucking absurd. It's ridiculous.
Because it doesn't surprise me that people in the West, in America specifically, when given our own country's history and the way that we've resolved racial tension in this country, it was not to
As soon as she called herself a communist, Hutch should have just blocked her. If you give these people attention, you pretend like they have any relevance. They also like get really full of themselves, because I think that, you tend to become these socialist lefty people when you are insecure about yourself, you feel like a loser, you don't want to be perceived as a moderate because you want to sound like somebody who actually stands on morals and values and stuff like that, right? But that really just makes up for all the insecurities and the lack of love that you have in your life. So,
to further entrench separate but equal, and let's have black states for black citizens and black Americans and white states.
Have you ever noticed that a lot of these like socialists and communists are like just straight up virgins? If they're not virgins in literal sense, they are virgins in spirit, okay? All right? Some people have sex, but they still act like virgins. That's just facts, okay?
For white Americans, and further the divide and try to resolve it that way. It was messy in a lot of ways, but eventually there was integration, but that integration had to come at the end of the gun.
Why is that? But why is integration? Why is a one-state solution, full right of return, equal rights, everybody? Like, why is that inherently more preferable?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, why is that more preferable to a two-state solution if the vast majority of Palestinians and Israelis prefer that?
Because I think you're assuming that people come to their conclusions based solely or in majority in part of with the opinion of the Palestinians and Israelis in that area, and I don't think that that's how people form their opinions on this. I think people who call for one single secular democratic binational state where there's equal rights between Israelis and Palestinians,
nobody wants that
for different reasons.
But nobody wants that. Like,
well, no, people in the West want it, but the people in that.
Bro, dude. Yeah, I do feel bad for dude, can you imagine having an argument with this woman? Holy shit. It would just be like one of the most insufferable conversations to ever have. Like, she would just be like, just constantly gaslighting, girl boss, and gatekeeping.
That region don't, but there have been different times in that region where Palestinians wanted to shift the conversation and the demand to one person, one vote.
Listen, I feel like this is another one of these things where
it gets changed.
No, I do understand that, but I'm just saying, it's
Edward Said is, right?
No.
He called for a one-state solution in 1992. He was a prominent Palestinian American intellectual. He wrote the question of Palestine.
Not familiar, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wrote it for the New York Times in 1992, calling for at post Oslo. He was very disillusioned with the Oslo. He said there should be one state. So at one point, this was mainstream in American political discourse, and it was taken seriously. And I can see that people are like, it could be again, and they want to push for that. And I don't think that's wrong.
Yeah, but this isn't even the most important issue facing the United States right now. Maybe the more important issue is the fact that in our own domestic country, things are happening to people who have a slightly higher melanin level. Like you can probably even you can probably even be a fucking light skin, and not even the light skin stare could sway fucking ICE agents, right?
The most recent polling that I saw from Gallup from March was 75% of Democrats believe in a two-state solution. So like, I just like, not only is there a pretty broad consensus within the American left here, there's a massive consensus with both Israelis and Palestinians. I quite frankly don't understand the insistence on that outcome as though it's inherently better when this is just not what they're asking for. So, but I don't want to get bogged down.
I know it's not, but like, if in like pretend like it was feasible, would you support one state, one secular democratic state, equal rights between these two people?
If it was feasible, like if we could just, I would base my preference on what they're asking for. So if it was feasible, but neither the Israelis or the Palestinians want it, I would be opposed to that. Because, okay, let's just force it, right? It's feasible, but neither of them want it. Okay, boom, you're in a single state solution. What's to stop them from just having elections and deciding democratically to split up into two states at that point? Let's just cut the middleman and not do that. It's just,
but then they would be self-determined, right? Only one of those people are self-determined. Israelis have a state, Palestinians don't have a state.
well, you can't say that you're for self-determination, but then insist on an outcome that they don't want. Like that's not congruent.
I'm just saying at different points they have wanted that, and I'm just trying to see what you want, and I guess like your opinion on it really comes down to like how popular.
Do you think liberals like us should be more militant against MAGA and far left? Yeah, 100%, dude. I feel like being soft and kind and courteous has been nothing, but it's like 100% what they want, right? Like they want liberals to be soft and floppy and like a fucking like a fucking seal, right? Like they want them to be like whatever, dude. That has not benefited us. Like, just notice that it's just straight up not benefited us in any way.
Popular an opinion is, but I don't form my opinions off of how popular something is or isn't.
So, yeah, there better be a change in strategy.
Like if we lived in a
push for desegregation and integration, even
I saw potential JSTOC slander and I clicked instantly. Not that much here. Sorry.
And like even if polling was showing like, but black people and white people don't want that in the American South. Why are you going to push for it? That's not what those people want. I would be like, yeah, I don't care. Like I think that that's the right thing, so I push for it, and I would hope that I could convince them that that's better than the alternative, which is more separate but equal.
Yeah, I mean the comparisons with like United States like Jim Crow segregation or even like South Africa, I think are just really. I understand the instinct to compare it to these things.
The presidential immunity change came through while Biden was still president. Dude, it would be so base if Biden were to take advantage of that, but fuck, we just didn't, I guess.
But they're just not the same, and like even Nelson Mandela.
They're the same, but I'm saying that they can be compared. Why can't they be compared?
You can compare anything technically, but like for example, like Mandela understood the political reality and he supported Israel's rights to secure borders. Like Mandela, even after ending apartheid in South Africa, never wavered from pushing for a two-state solution rather than a single state, because I think in part because he recognized that the realities were just completely different, and there was just no. There is, I mean, you're either going to have to convince Israel to do it themselves, to dissolve themselves, or you're going to have to force them to do this. And neither of these things are going to happen. It's just,
She low-key kind of frying him? How? I mean, I agree that she has a vocal fry, but in terms of actually frying him, how? I feel like Hutch has... I feel like Hutch can be more aggressive in this debate, but I just don't see how, like, Straight Ray isn't, like, dodging and weaving and being, like, the bad faith...
Unless you can explain that to me, like, it's just...
There's one state now.
Also, hello, Rat. Hiya.
And people recognize, like, the reality to contend with is that Israel is showing no signs of ending that occupation. Israel is showing no signs of ending that blockade. There is one state between the Jordan and the Mediterranean.
Like, my problem with Hutch is honestly that he's too good faith, dude. And he doesn't go to the meta enough. He just doesn't. He doesn't go to the meta enough. I think that if Hutch is, whatever, he's just a regular debater person, okay? But, like, what could help Hutch is if he tried to call people out on their behavior, right? Or go, okay, I tried to confront you on this, but you keep on like derailing and you don't want to focus on the actual issue at hand. You don't want to, because it's very clear she's using bad faith tactics, but you just need to call her out on it, right? Maybe she's not aware that she's using these tactics. Maybe that's just what she's used to in her converstions with Lycan, okay? But like, I'm just saying, all right?
It's one where Israeli, there's two peoples.
My problem with Hutch is that he's a soft fucking marshmallow debater.
You have like Israelis and you have Palestinians, and Israelis are here both legally and like both de jure and de facto, and Palestinians are subjugated and oppressed and confined to Gaza and the West Bank, where their land is stolen and they face settler violence and they don't have elections, like they have issues with water and access to basic human needs. And so if that's going to be the dynamic, if there's one state,
I don't want that to be the dynamic.
If it's going to be one state, it is one state. It's just true. And even the Trump administration is now pushing for one state. It's like, okay, if there's going to be just one state, then it needs to be one person, one vote, and they need to have equal rights, and they need to be enfranchised if you don't want to end the occupation.
I mean, Trump's version of one state is literally ethnically cleansing Gaza and annexing it as a U.S. territory. So I don't think that's a great one state. But I'm not like
one state. There was one state before the United States finally formally acknowledged that, yeah, there's one state, and this is our idea for it, which is to ethnic.
Hutch is like a moon pie, crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. He is bald, though, to be fair.
Cleanse all of these people.
You don't need to make the arguments to me that like the Palestinians, in both in diaspora, but also in West Bank and Gaza have been subjected to humiliating, unacceptable conditions for decades. I'm fully on board with you. I just prefer not to engage in like the should or should nots. Like it should be like this or it shouldn't be like this. I just look at the situation and I'm like, well.
Okay, we need to normalize this term because I'm tired of it, okay? Hindsight Andy. Say it with me, guys. Hindsight Andy, okay? You're being a hindsight Andy whenever you're saying we should have done this, we shouldn't have done this, this wouldn't have happened if you did this, we shouldn't have... Okay. All right. Hindsight Andy, okay? All right, hindsight Andy, okay?
If it was going to be a one-state solution, full right of return, yes, you would either have to force Israel to do it through like military force or extreme coercion. There's no sign of that happening anytime soon. Or you would have the internal, dynamic would have to be completely destabilized, and you'd either have to have the country just disintegrate into nothing because of chaos, or they would have to come to that conclusion themselves to vote to allow that to happen. So both of these are non-starters in my mind, and so I don't even...
He gets pretty spicy when the Vanguard is around. Yeah, and I respect that, because clearly it seems as though that he has given the Vanguard a lot of shit on his own fucking stream. So he's just replicating that same energy when it comes to debating the Vanguard, right? In my opinion, it shows that he's not queening it out, okay? By that, I mean, like, when Queenman was suddenly very demure, okay, when Destiny came on, all right, and said, are you still an anti-fan? It's like, okay.
It's pointless to even go down that road, not to mention the fact that they don't want it. Like, Palestinians don't want to share a state.
Engaged in even more insane hypotheticals in this conversation.
Yeah, that's...
Like, you're not willing to interrogate... I'm like trying to see what your like fundamental first principles are with respect to these people, and like what you think or whatever. And like it's just strange to me that is like almost entirely influenced by what they want, because like at one point a majority of Palestinians supported suicide bombings to resist the occupation. I'm not getting on board with that just because a majority of them support that. And if that means that I'm anti-Palestinian, then I guess so, but I don't see it that way. No,
it's not that
I'm not going to always just defer to the majority consensus or opinion of a group of people. It's something you always factor in, because you shouldn't be, I guess, like, your opinion should not be completely uninformed by them. But that's not, to me, like, the most critical aspect of it when I, like, arrive at a conclusion.
No, it's not that I'm opposed to talking about these things in the abstract as a part of like a stimulating conversation or something. But I'm saying when it comes to having a conversation about what the potential solutions are, I get very kind of like cold and calculated about these things. And what I like to do is just establish what is possible and what is not possible before we even get into the details. And when I look at okay, what's the argument for the one state, or like, what's the mechanism to make it happen that no...
How's Hutch not destroying her with these terrible arguments? She's too dense. Dude, I wish Hutch would be a little bit more like Destiny when he debates, okay? I actually do wish Hutch would say something along the lines of, okay, fucking privileged fucking cunt. Okay, big booped cunt. All right? I see the only things important to your life is gaslighting and gatekeeping Lycan. Although, to be fair, he would stop being Hutch the moment he started doing that, so,
such mechanism exists. There is nothing there. And so I just skip that and I go, okay, well, what would a two-state solution look like? And then you would get into like, land swaps in the West Bank, and
like for a two-state either.
No, I understand that. I mean, it's like, but as far out of reach as...
Dude, yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. Unfortunately, I think Hutch has made a brand for himself in that he's supposed to be like the nice guy. But I think that he needs to turn it up a notch, okay? Listen, he's trying to adhere to his chillness. Okay, I get it. He's supposed to be a vibe streamer, all right?
It's two
But
states
why do you push that then?
because it's the only thing that can practically happen. The one state solution,
that
there's
lie?
no possible mechanism to enforce that.
Just so you know, Foodshops doesn't think straight is attractive. Dude, I am gay as fuck, and I don't think she's attractive. Okay, I just don't think so. I'm sorry. I always say whenever, listen, her boobs are too big. Okay, if she had B or C's, yeah, I would find her attractive. Okay.
It's just impossible.
But I thought it was about like where they were at.
I don't know, understand.
Like anytime I have like conversations with these
Also glasses.
people, like it shifts back and forth between they say they're ideologically opposed. They say that like it's not practically possible.
Also, she tries too hard.
And that, and then you can point out, well, it is practically possible, but then they say it's not. I'm ideologically against it. But then when you say, well, ideologically,
Look, I'm attracted towards a fashion sense. I'm attracted towards a fashion sense. I'm just saying, okay?
Well, how is it
people are more
practically
worse
possible?
than you think or whatever.
Well, how is it practically?
State solution?
No, one state. How is that practically? How do you imagine that happening?
What there would have to be like it would have to start with like reconciliation councils and there
it's
being
probably popped up in
negotiations
summer.
to have
I get it.
like first it would need a ceasefire, right? First and foremost is a ongoing genocide right now.
Okay.
They need to enter into negotiations, both of these parties and their representatives, and come to a solution that's going to be anchored in international law and like a settlement of all of the final status issues. All the final status issues refer to like the borders, East Jerusalem, the return of the refugees, like water, and like there's and the settlements.
Who's gonna
Like land swaps.
Who's gonna enforce this outcome?
What there can be UN peacekeepers. There can be different ways to enforce the outcome.
No, but I mean, like,
You would enforce anything else. What do you mean?
no, you're saying the UN could force Israel to enter into negotiations with Palestinians and do a single state?
Wait, where's my loot?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the United States
Where's my
could help
loot?
pressure Israel to come to the table and start negotiating for there to be a final like resolution
Wait.
to this conflict. Like 'cause these people need a state. That's if they want to maintain long-term security.
Never termed it.
They need
Now
to
you
have
just
like
sound
Palestinians need to have a
sarcastic,
state.
so fuck you, I guess.
Pushing and ethnically
I agree with that.
population of people
Where's
into all of these neighboring countries, all you're doing is not only is that morally repugnant and wrong and a genocide, but even that aside, even if we're just looking at it from the perspective of like a pro-Israel, like a Zionist person or whatever, you should not want to ethnically cleanse millions of people into neighboring Arab countries where they're all going to be radicalized into different cells and want to attack your country from all these different countries that you push them into. It's a horrible idea. Even from like a self-interested perspective, it's a terrible idea. You're setting the stage for more October 7th.
I understand, like, so someone who's like a lives in a Western country with liberal democracy that's based on like secular principles. I obviously think that like this type of system is superior, but that doesn't really matter. Like I'm not engaging in like what I would ideally like to see happen in this particular section of the world. The question at the end of the day, or right at the beginning of this conversation, is like, what is the enforcement mechanism to force Israel to accept these terms? Which that is an incredibly tall order. And if you're talking about like, well, it would have to come from pressure from the United States. It's like, okay, conceptually that makes sense.
And European and like all allies from Israel, they would need to put pressure on Israel to come to the negotiating table and start this.
I understand that conceptually that we can engage in like that sort of concept, but in practice, I don't see what you're seeing. Like you know,
The United States and Europe have a significant amount of leverage over.
No, but like there's no political appetite to do that, and I don't see that changing ever.
So you don't like the protests because you think that they come from unrealistic demands. You want them to advocate for a two-state solution, but now you're even arguing to me the futility of pushing for a two-state solution because you don't see a way forward for that either. So what is the prescription?
Two-state solution that would take years and years and years. It would take years.
So how do you even begin the activism for that if you're even saying I don't even know how it would be enforced? I don't even know how you get Israel to the table.
Well, we have like historical examples of various negotiations.
Sounds like do nothing.
No, but we have various historical examples of negotiations that made a lot of progress. We were like almost there a number of times and they fell through. And like, I'm sorry, but the boring answer is like, you keep trying at that and you keep exerting whatever diplomatic pressure you can.
See, this is what I mean by like liberals shouldn't be too amicable. Okay, this is what I mean. I think Hutch is a good example. Listen, I love Hutch. Okay. Every single belief he has, I probably agree with him, okay? I love him, okay? Listen, I don't even know what Hutch's position is on Queeman. All I know is that I automatically agree with him, okay? That's how much I love him. But, however, okay? It's a detriment to Hutch when he debates, when he refuses to be mean to Straighter Raid, okay? First of all, she's a grown-up lady. She can take it, okay? Second of all right, just say the part that we've all been thinking, okay? I would rather take Palestinians dying over the collapse of US democracy. That's what we've all been thinking, okay? That's literally what we've all been thinking. But you just have to say it. You have to find the words. You have to find the words to say it, okay? You have to find the balls, okay? You need to acquire the balls to say it, okay? It's hard. I understand. Okay? But you have to say it. You have no other choice but to, all right? Bite down on that forbidden bullet, okay? Bite down on the fruit, okay? On the forbidden
But I
fruit.
don't think there is a realistic scenario where the US and Europe combined or whatever could force Israel to absorb, you know, like that many people into a country that would make them a political minority. They're just never
That's
going to.
that's not even where the Palestinians, like the PLO was not at that position. Like you keep saying the full right of return. That's not where it's going to be. They have the right of return under international law. That right is not to be disputed, but there can be a practical settlement of what it will look like in practice. And they've already said it was going to be like a ceremonial amount of Palestinians were allowed to return back to Israel proper. And then from there, they would probably be given reparations.
Yeah, they self-sabotage 100%.
When was the,
So, like,
what you're saying this was, I doubt Israel ever seriously entered.
They never want to recognize the right of return.
Right. So
But I'm
like,
saying that even what the Palestinians were offering was a settlement of that right, like a negotiation.
but in a
of what it
separate
would look
state,
like.
in a, not a
But they
single
need them
state.
well, yeah, in a separate state, yes.
Yeah, never a single state. Israel never once entertained a single state solution.
No, the only point about the single state that I brought.
Also, can I just say, like, I fucking love it whenever my ult is ready and I just, like, send in, like, this gigantic pillar of light. Oh my god, it looks so good.